Hello, class. This is Alejandro Quintal, and I'm with,
Miguel Roscoe.
and this will be our podcast. We'd like to get started with our podcast by talking about the right to protest. This right to protest is deeply rooted in the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. It has a deep historical significance, playing a vital role in movements like the American Revolution, abolition of slavery, women's suffrage, civil rights, LGBTQ plus rights, and more recently, Black Lives Matter and the immigration movement. Right to protest. Right to protest are a powerful tool for marginalized groups and concerned citizens to draw attention to injustices and policy changes. Today's movements addressing racial injustice, women's rights, environmental issues, and immigration rights heavily rely on protest voice demands. This right is able to create a bridge between the average daily citizen and people in political power that have the power to change laws. Most most protests today are include young people, minorities, and activists. The challenges and limitations to this right are, even though it's protected, the right to protest is under pressure. Governments sometimes limit protests with permits and curfews. Police often respond with force, and some states are passing laws to make protesting harder or even criminal. Solution to this is we need stronger laws that clear peaceful protests, stop police overwatch, and make sure public spaces stay open for people's voices. Public education should also remind everyone why protests matter. So it is important for you to vote on laws that are able to protect the right to protest. I would like to now pass it on to my fellow podcast mate Miguel.
Thank you, Alex. My civil right is labor rights. The historic background is that in the late 19th and early century, it saw the rise of labor movements in the US, which fought for basic rights like minimum wages, safe working conditions, and an 8-hour workday. Acts such as the Labor Reform Act of the 1930s and the organizations like the International Labor Organization helped establish the foundation for worker rights today. It impacted society as how it is, such as it would give the right to fair labor standards on society and ensures that workers can have a living wage, safe working conditions, and access benefits like healthcare, paid leave, and job security. This right is important for social mobility, economic stability, and equality, as who is affected by these are low-income workers, economy workers, women and minority groups, and immigrant workers. Some challenges and limitations surrounding the right is that there is weak enforcement of labor rights and gig economy and informal labor and discrimination. As for some solutions or actions to improve this right, is that it will strengthen enforcement mechanisms, as governments will need to fund labor departments and agencies that oversee enforcement of these labor laws. And as it would expand protections for gig and informal workers, in which would the government would pass laws that grant gig workers and informal laborers to access to basic protections and minimum wage laws. All in all, labor rights are human rights, as every worker deserves fair wages, safe working conditions, and the ability to stand up for their rights without fear of retaliation. By raising awareness and pushing for meaningful reforms, we can ensure that labor rights are protected and that all workers, no matter their job or background, are treated fairly and with respect. That is the podcast today. Goodbye, guys.